This FedGov Today program is sponsored by Carahsoft. The General Services Administration will take over most of the acquisition functions of the government under the Onegov initiative. GSA says it'll move Onegov from software, where it started, to hardware, platforms, infrastructure, and cybersecurity services. Craig Abod is the president of Carahsoft. At the Carahsoft DevSecOps conference this week, I asked him how Onegov might change the way industry interacts with government.
We look at our role as, how do we help our government customers find great technology? How do we help them acquire great technology? And how do we help them align with the right partners to get the technology deployed? And the faster the government can do stuff more efficiently to acquire technology, helps their mission, and it helps industry supply better technology to the government. So we're behind anything that helps efficiency in the acquisition process.
What's the best role for industry, the best way for industry to help government find that technology, that first piece that you laid out there?
Yeah, so we've been doing we've always done a lot around educating our customers. A lot of it looks to the industry as marketing, but it's, hey, how do we educate the government on finding good technology? And today, the finding technology is important. We're taking on a lot of emerging technology companies that the government needs to learn about. But there's also a track of, hey, you already own it. How do we make sure the government knows all the capabilities of what they already have and are using, hey, I'm only using 20% of what we own. How do I use 80% of what we own? And the other piece that we're finding is important is where we can help the government, where they own two different technologies that complement each other. Hey, how do you get the best use out of those two technologies and make them work really well together so you get the best ROI? And then sometimes it's, hey, I own one technology and I own something duplicative. How do I make the most of the one I own and stop using the one the one or two or three products that are duplicative? So keeping the practitioners and the government buyers aware of what the technology is that's out there and available. Very, very important for us as Carahsoft to do, our software companies we represent, and the channel partners that we support in the industry to educate our customers, keep them up to speed.
You talked about emerging technology companies, and that's something that the government has done a lot of effort, especially in DoD, but in the civilian agencies too, to try to identify these companies and bring them into the industrial base. What's the right balance between government and industry, finding them on their own, maybe some of the traditional primes or organizations like yours versus the government? And does it make sense maybe for different types of technologies to come to the government in different ways?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways we're looking at emerging technologies today. So one is we have a lot of venture capital partners, private equity companies that bring us their portfolio companies, and they either say, hey, these guys have a good product market fit in government, but they haven't touched the government at all. Or, hey, we've gotten some reach out from the government, but we don't know how to take it to the next phase. So we do a lot of onboarding and helping emerging tech companies get, hey, how do I get on contracts? How do I get the word out? How do I get some support? How do I go through some of the harder parts about working with the government? We do that at scale, hundreds of new emerging tech companies a year. The other two places that are interesting that we're getting impact in the emerging technology space is putting them into verticals. And today we have a cyber vertical with more than 100 different technology companies in. We have a drones vertical. We have a DevSecOps vertical. We have an open source vertical. We have a vertical around supporting FedRAMP and CMMC. We have a vertical around law enforcement technology, a dozen other verticals. So when we can pull those emerging guys in and bring them into vertical areas that customers are interested in. And then the other place is where some of the emerging tech companies revolve around one of the bigger software companies. And the best example we have is we support 100 Salesforce App Exchange partners. So these are small emerging companies that have built their applications inside of the Salesforce App Exchange platform. And we have customers that are buying 10 and 20 of those App Exchange partners along with their Salesforce instance. And it's helping those little guys get into market where it would be a lot harder for them to do, find the deals and help the customers all on their own.
We just have a minute or so left. We started with Onegov, and I want to go back to that to wrap up. What does an ideal or an optimal outcome look like in your view 2 years from now or 5 years from now, both for government and industry with Onegov?
Well, Prince, I think the reality of where we are with technology is a lot of the easy problems that technology solves have been solved, and we're now onto the hard problems with technology. And the move into AI and really getting full cybersecurity that we need and CMMC, those are really the hard problems. And I think it's going to take government and industry working closely together to solve those big problems that we see. And I think the problem, the opportunity in government isn't that we need to spend less on IT. The opportunity is how do we spend more on IT and get more results? Because to solve some of these big problems, we have to all be investing in really good technology that gets really good ROI.
You can read more about government and industry collaboration on today's show page at fedgovtoday.com. Up next, driving the Pentagon's technology to the end user no matter where. FedGov Today with Francis Rose continues in a moment.